What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Leem channel. If you're new to my channel, I greatly appreciate you all for being here. I would also greatly appreciate it if you liked, commented, and subscribed and donated. Links all down below. Also, I drop new merch, so please go check that out as well. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, back at it once again, talking about Killer Karmelo Anthony and the Killer Karmelo Anthony family. These people, they're only digging more of a hole for themselves, and hopefully people in the community or certain communities will wake up, who are supporting Karmelo Anthony, will wake up to the fact that, this is stupid if you even support this guy. Like, just because of a color, it's unbelievable. It's so stupid. Like, what is this? Are we in the Stone Ages? It's just stupid, ladies and gentlemen. I honestly, that's a compliment. Stone Age people are smarter than these people, because at this rate, these people, they just don't think. They'll just believe whatever and just do whatever. It's just terrible. But here we go.
Good afternoon. Earlier this spring, our community was shaken by what happened at a school track meet in Frisco. The violent loss of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. For weeks
Shout
now,
out to
my
Sarah
team
Fields,
has
by
been
the way.
presenting evidence to the grand jury, and today I summarized that evidence, and I asked the grand jury to return a first-degree murder indictment against Karmelo Anthony, which they did. With this indictment, the case now moves formally into the court system. From this point forward, we'll continue doing our job both fully and fairly to pursue justice under the law. As for the scheduling of the trial, that will be up to the court. But when the time comes, we will be ready. Now, we know that this case has struck a deep nerve here in Collin County and beyond. And that's understandable. When something like this happens at a school event, it shakes people to the core. But let's remember that the justice system works best when it moves with steadiness and principle. That's what we're committed to, and that's what this case deserves. We're also mindful of Austin's family and everyone who loved him. Please keep them in your thoughts, and if you're willing, your prayers as well. Finally, let's remember that a defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, shout out to Sarah Fields for covering all this. Please go give her a follow. She's on point, and she continuously keeps everybody updated, as well as me. Thank you for all your support. But again, shout out to Sarah Fields. So, that's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Like, it's just so funny to me how people literally act like, oh, he's still a good kid. Like, he's been indicted. It's just crazy, lady. It's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But here we have the Patriot Oasis. It says, breaking, Karmelo Anthony has been granted indigent status, meaning now he is legally considered broke and unable to afford legal representation, despite raising $500,000 plus in donations. Wow. Again, ladies and gentlemen, how stupid do you have to be in order to vote for this guy? In order to, fight for this guy and petition him to get money. You have to be dumb. With everything coming out now, from the police records showing that he's a murderer, to him being indicted, and just so on and so forth. It's just what, and then them running out of money and then asking for more money. Literally, they upgraded it to 1.3 to 1.4 million, I believe. It's just laughable, ladies and gentlemen. And then, it's just crazy all around. Here we have the general covering this as well. It says, breaking, Karmelo Anthony has been officially granted indigent status, meaning he is now legally recognized as broke and unable to afford legal representation. Yikes. Despite raising over $500,000 in donations. Okay, so you get the gist, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly, Killer Karmelo Anthony has nothing to offer. He has nothing to... But you know what? This is actually not a bad thing, because, again, hopefully people will wake up and realize that Killer Karmelo Anthony killed the late Austin Metcalf, rest in peace, in cold blood. And he died in Austin's brother, he was holding his brother, Austin Metcalf, and the whole thing is crazy. It's just wild, ladies and gentlemen. My thing, I would say real quick, is the fact that you guys, for specific people pertaining to certain communities, you talk so much about, oh, Black Wall Street, and we were so great, and oh, uh, ancient Egyptians, and this, that, and the other. But then here you are supporting a killer. I don't think like your ancestors would be happy about that. Like, you know what I mean? Just like, you guys weren't happy if it was the other way around. Like that's just me, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about race. I'm just saying, like, it's interesting how they don't think about these things. They just don't think. It's very scary. But let's keep going. It gets worse, ladies and gentlemen, because here we have, it says, people stop donating to Karmelo Anthony. They don't believe the story. 48 hours, it's only gained 1K. Oh, it just gets better for us, ladies and gentlemen. But it gets worse for the killer Karmelo Anthony family. But again, this is good because, like, hopefully people are waking up and seeing who donated and saying, or at least certain people, like some, even if it's a little bit, and they're just saying, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. And they're actually thinking and rationalizing it without just jumping to conclusions that this, that, and the other, and this people group, and they did this, and who did that. Like, no, okay? Everyone's accountable for their own actions. So, this is what happens when you pretty much, fall into a trap, supporting this killer, supporting family, this family who pretty much has a murderer within their household. And it's just, so yeah, it's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, how this stuff works. But here we have CBS News, Texas. They even covered it. They say Frisco ISD releases video of fatal track meet stabbing involving killer Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. So let's check this out.
Frisco ISD is releasing surveillance video of the stabbing at the track meet that led to the death of a student back in April, but only under very strict conditions. So through open records, they will allow whoever requests it to view that video, but no recording whatsoever is allowed. On that note, we sent our IT producer, Kelsey Mittauer, to watch that video. She joins us now in studio to walk us through what you saw. We're going to go in order here in just a second, Kelsey, but in general terms, what did the video depict? What did you see?
It shows everything from the moments leading up to the stabbing, to the medical response, to then the beginning of the police investigation.
Okay, and it lasted several minutes is what they showed you.
It did, about 30 minutes.
Okay, so let's start in the beginning now and talk a little bit about what you saw at the front end of that video, because you got to see the attack, the actual stabbing took place.
So it starts, I started watching about 9:53. The camera shows half of the field. So it's about from the 50-yard line on, and the tent where it happened was kind of right in front of the 50-yard line, but the camera is down here. Okay. It's positioned across the field. So everybody in the video, you can tell they are kids or adults, but no one's identifiable.
So a long shot is what
a long shot, yeah.
So a couple of minutes in, and you actually see the altercation take place.
Yes, everything leading up to it, everyone's milling about. It seems very normal, and then right at 9:55, that's when there's this explosive movement or action between two people under the tent, and that's when the employees in the room told me that's when the stabbing happened at 9:55.
Right, and you were talking about people kind of start to scatter at that moment. Obviously, something went wrong. So what happens next? Because now, a little bit later on, that's when the ambulance shows up. Right.
So when the ambulance arrives, it actually comes through near the end zone at the gate, and then it comes up to the 50-yard line directly in front of the tent. You can see Austin Metcalf is right here. But then when they pull up close to the tent, they realize that they can't get the stretcher to him because of the barrier of the bleachers. So at that point, then the paramedics have to get out, and then they have to walk all the way back to the end zone. This is actually, on the next slide. They have to go all the way back to the end zone and then come all the way back. That takes another couple of minutes. So at this point, they've arrived and they are actively working on Metcalf at that point.
And we want to reiterate, we're using some imagery here to sort of denote exactly what was happening here, these little icons that were using the ambulance, because again, the video was not able to be released. You're watching all of this happen, Kelsey, and you're watching the time sort of elapse. What are you thinking about when you see this, especially when you see sort of the issues in getting Metcalf out of there?
I mean, you know, I understand why it happened the way it happened. They were still working on him, actually. The thing that really struck me is they're working on him, and that's when you see the rain's coming down heavier, and then they actually pull out the blue tarp.
The blue tarp that we saw.
Right, and then I noticed the crime scene tape is already up. I was so focused on here, I didn't even see that, but they're building the crime scene actively around him as they're continuing to work on him in the bleachers.
So that was happening while he was still there?
Yes, he's in the bleachers.
And in closing here, because we know that several minutes had elapsed, and people are sort of scurrying in different areas, what do we know about the suspect in the stabbing, Karmelo Anthony, and his whereabouts?
So I asked the women in the room, the employees, I said, of everybody on this screen, is Karmelo Anthony in here? And they said, you know, we couldn't tell you, we don't know. And honestly, it was so hard. Once it happened, you know, there's people going this way, that way, this way, and this way. So it was just hard to know what direction he headed.
All right, Kelsey, thank you very much for describing that for us. We appreciate it. We should let you know that the case will be presented.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, so pretty much we know Karmelo Anthony did it. You know, he is not innocent. Do not listen to these mass media liars. Do not listen to Dominique Felinander and the killer Karmelo Anthony family. Don't fall for it. Don't listen to them. We know what it is. Very interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah. Here we have again Sarah Fields. Shout out to her. It says, update, I have obtained the filed copy of the indictment for Karmelo Anthony. More documents to come. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's looking like. It says, let me see. In the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Collin County, state of Texas, duty organized at the January term AD 2025 of the 219th District Court of said county in said court at said term do present that Karmelo Sincere Anthony herein after called defendant on or about the second day of April 2025 in said county and state did then and there intentionally knowingly cause the death of an individual, namely Austin Metcalf, by stabbing Austin Metcalf with a knife, a deadly weapon. So yeah, the truth is all around us, ladies and gentlemen. The evidence is all around us at this point. It's indisputable, undeniable. Anybody who's in deniability or deniable plausibility, they're just lying to themselves. You know, they clearly hate truth. They hate facts. They hate the reality, and they just can't come to terms with it. And that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So let's see. Here we have, again, Sarah Fields. It says, Karmelo Anthony's arraignment is scheduled for July 18th, 2025. According to multiple sources, his trial date more than likely will not be set until 2026. Now that the indictment is in place, the case has been assigned to the 296th District Court under Judge John Roach. Roach has the authority to overturn a magistrate's decision to reduce Anthony's bond from $1 million to $250,000. Judge Roach, a conservative Republican, handled the case of Azizi Uran, a former Piano West Senior High student who plotted a mass shooting at Frisco's Stonebriar Center and other locations, sentencing him to 20 years in prison. He has shown no leniency towards those who harm children. He has also shown strong support for the veteran community. His term ends in December 2026. 2026 will be an election year for him. So, yeah. Karmelo Anthony, get ready to meet your executioner. In other words, that's what I heard. Get ready, because he's right around the corner. So, hope you like prison food, Karmelo Anthony. But here he is, ladies and gentlemen. So shout out to him. Shout out to Texas. Shout out to people standing up against this. All of us continuously rising together and standing up against this atrocity against the Metcalf family. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, all in all, those are my thoughts. So please let me know what you think down below in the comments. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.